Hi, today we're looking at a personality reading. We're going to explore the major components of the personality, and then we are going to look at how some of the outer planets influence opportunities and strengths and challenges in the aspects as the planets are speaking to each other. And we'll look at what an elevated version of these signs and planet positions could be to help bring that to awareness so we can use these tools to help see if we're standing in the light of our highest expression or if there's work to do to help us get there. So I like to always start with the big three because those are usually the most accessible to what we consider our personality and the most accessible to what other people perceive us in being. So let's start here with the ascendant. The ascendant is how we dawn on people, how we first perceive our new experiences, and how the world first experiences us. So when you have an Aquarius ascendant, you usually are a type of person that when you first meet a new person or a new situation, you're somebody who has an air quality about you. You intellectually perceive new experiences. You might have a lot of questions that you want answered. You might be more of like a scientific mind about things, collecting data, a scientific method approach to new situations of testing theories or trying to take mental notes about situations. The air sign is also someone who is about communication, and we cannot communicate alone. It is the sign of the communication with others. So if you have an air sign as an ascendant, this tells me that on some level you're here to communicate with other people and build some type of interaction in relationships with others. Aquarius is the sign of the person who is here to bring innovation and new ideas to others. So, in the highest expression of an Aquarius rising, you will be in contact with situations where people have been doing something or thinking something for a long time. You might find yourself in new places where there's been a hierarchy or a certain culture of things that have been in place for a long time. Some Aquarius risings are born into families like this, or they find themselves in schools that are well established or jobs where there's a clear ranking of order. But Aquarius rising is brought into these situations to help people release old ways and accept new ways of doing things. So they're the innovator, and the highly evolved Aquarius rising has a confidence about them in that knowing that how they perceive things, it might not be the most popular, but there's something about it that brings new life and new uh, creativity, new energy into situations. So when people first meet you, they probably think that, you know, you come into their lives sometimes like a bolt of lightning, suddenly, spontaneously. Maybe there's not always a real perceivable reason why you're meeting these new people or being in these new places, but you come into people's lives and you can leave these people's lives suddenly. But the gift that you bring is the spirit of originality and something that people haven't experienced before. So you're here to kind of shake things up to help people experience a little bit wider of reality, that they're getting this new experience that maybe they were closed off to before, or they didn't see things like this. So you hold the gift of this genius type person who sees something that someone else doesn't see. And your challenge here is to be bold enough to express that, to communicate that gift, to communicate your unique insight, even if it goes against the grain a little bit. And even if it's at the risk of losing, easier relationships, you're not really here for easy. You're here to be authentic and you're here to create waves and change. So it's something of building in life that when we're little, sometimes Aquarius rising people are kind of told, like, not right now, we don't need to do that. You're not in a power position where you're going to be any type of new authority or insight. So Aquarius rising sometimes takes a little longer to really step into this energy, even though maybe you've always known, like, why do they still do things this way? Or I'm not going to do it that way. There's a sense of rebellion inside of you. And as you get older, you kind of own it and, apologize it for it less, or you don't keep it hidden anymore. So as you age, you're going to find that you're really a lot more of an influencer on other people than you accept what other people are doing, and you're less likely to be influenced by others. So let's move on to your sun sign, because the sun is where, if we're losing our sense of self in this world because of things happening to us, or choices that we've made, the sun is the easiest way to realign with your energy. So when you look at your sun sign, that's why, a lot of people only know their sun sign. It shines the light of the sun on your chart. So where is your ego really living? And for you, it's living in the sign of Aries in your second house. So this is the sign that most people would identify you as. So friends, family, people who get to know you longer than a first impression would probably say you're somebody who is very passionate, has a lot of energy, is sometimes blunt with what they say. They really wear their heart on their sleeves. They're somebody who needs to feel alive. So you might be physically active, or you might have a lot of passion in the way you speak, but you're somebody that is born into this life wanting to experience all the highs and lows of being alive and being a human in this life. And you're going to make noise and take up space because that is the journey of the Aries personality. They are excited to be alive and they need to experience what being alive is in everything that they do. So sometimes that makes you competitive, or just ambitious. Maybe you have a lot of things that you want to accomplish in this life, or maybe it makes you more emotional. You want to feel many different things and you want to express that passion to other people. In the second house, that's the house of things that we acquire, that's the values that we develop, and that's the things that we physically own from our own ability. So you might be somebody who thinks a lot about, like, what type of home they would like to have, where they would like to live, um, what kind of, like, social status they would like to have, what kind of economic resources they want available, things that make you feel secure in life. And in the sign of Aries, that makes you really self-reliant and really less likely to do things that somebody might offer to you, or be in partnerships where you're going to get something. You're more somebody that you feel capable of your own abilities and you are courageously going to get out there and create a way for yourself. So with all of the second house energy, you're probably going to acquire a lot of things in life because you actually want to physically see the fruit of your labor. So a high expression of this sign would be somebody who has a clear vision of where they want their success to bring them. So if you haven't already thought about, like, your 5 or 10 year plan, think about, well, where do I want my efforts to be focused, because you have a lot of energy and you need it to come back to you in a physical way. Do I want my efforts to bring me a home? Well, then I need to start planning on what my budget's going to be like. what type of house I think I could buy, or is my efforts going to be on getting a car or getting getting my career up a little bit so I can later in life have all of these things. It's something that it's a material house, but it's not materialistic. So you are going to need to have some sort of material possession in your life to show yourself what you're capable of. And that would be a high expression of your sun sign. So you could see it, hold it, touch it, feel it, all those things that you can know to yourself, yes, I am confident that I can take care of myself. And I'm courageous in doing that. And I'm proud of everything that I've done for myself. That is something that is going to help you feel secure and more aligned with your energy. And it's about building the self-esteem in yourself. That's what the second house also represents, is us proving to ourselves that we are worthy and that we are of value, and that it's not conditional on other people's opinions. It's fully about ourselves. So your moon is also in the second house. So when we move into the moon sign, that's our emotional nature and it's our emotional security. So what can we do to feel emotionally secure in ourselves? And in our most intimate relationships, sometimes it's the mother, because that's the first place a lot of us have really felt safe, is with our mother. But it's the same energy in our deepest relationships, sometimes with a really close partner. So how they would feel towards you is different than how a friend would know you. And it's the same difference that matters in how you really do feel connected to your deeper self and a partner. It's the side of ourselves that sometimes we're not always in touch with, but it comes out in bursts of our instinctual reactions. And when we're really in a quiet space where it's just us with our thoughts and feelings. So for you in the second house, this gives you a easier access almost, because your sun and your moon are pretty close together. So while I wouldn't consider this a conjunction because the degrees are a little bit too far apart, it's still important and significant for you because your ego, your conscious thoughts, are in the same place as your most inner feelings. So there is the similarity here where you are expressing and outwardly putting energy in the same area where your inner needing that reinforcement and that security as well. So both in the second house, again, you're really here to feel that self-worth, to get to know what you value, what your beliefs are, your moral code, what makes you feel worthy in yourself, even when other people or other relationships that you have are maybe reflecting different traits of yourself, but you need established self-worth. And your emotional security comes from feeling like you're stable in your own self-worth. So however that is expressed would be through the sign for you, and that's in Pisces. So a highest expression of a Pisces moon is someone who is so freely aware of their emotional range. So a Pisces moon is someone who's deeply moved and touched by all of life. They feel everything from, animals to nature to a movie that somebody's bearing their soul, and they feel it all. And they won't put walls up to block that, even if it's uncomfortable. They're going to let these feelings guide them. They're going to let their feelings lead them through this flow of consciousness, and they want to experience all of it. So having an Aries sun and a Pisces moon just makes you very intuitive and really somebody who isn't as other typical air rising signs. So if we look at your big three, we have an air, we have a fire, and we have a water. So you're going to have a lot of passion, emotion, but in your situations of facing day to day, rising sign things, you're going to have a little bit more of an intellectual appreciation for those things. But very quickly, it shows me that you're actually moving into an emotional space the most. So you check things off on your Aquarius rising of, what do I bring to the situation? What do people bring me? What are the things that I'm here to innovate? But then what am I doing emotionally? How am I emotionally connecting with these people? Because air needs to connect and communicate, but it's not going to do so unless it's feeling that this is a safe place and that this is something that's going to make you feel more alive and in touch with your human experience. All of those things matter to you. And in the second house, that's kind of that earth energy that you don't have. So even though you don't have earth in your big three, since your second house is where your sun and your moon live, it is actually a very earthy energy that you need to bring it into reality for yourself. So if that makes sense, you have this intellectual part and this emotionally fueled connection ability. But where you feel most secure is when you can actually have a physical representation of that. So where other people might fall into materialism, you actually need a material proof of these values. So if you don't already own a home or live somewhere that you're proud of or drive something that you love that's reliable, or if you don't have like a retirement plan, like you need security and you need it to represent how you feel about yourself. So all of those things are going to matter a lot. Okay, let's move on now to the little three, which is our Venus, our Mars, and our Mercury. They also are our personality. And while they're little, they still influence a lot of who we are and the decisions we make. So let's start with Mercury, because that one is what we think about, what we talk about, our mental energy. If you have a air sign rising, you already have a lot of mental energy. So let's see how your Mercury plays into that. So also in your second house in Aries, which is a gift for you, it's a strength to have the sun and the Mercury sign in the same sign. This happens a lot because Mercury travels so close to the sun. But when they're in two different signs, sometimes it can be a little bit of a disconnect in how we think and talk versus who we really are. But for you, it's the same. So you're going to be somebody who gives the impression of when they speak to you, they're actually speaking to who you really are. You're not just BSing people. You actually are saying what you mean. And yeah, you meant what you said. And people respect that about you. In the sign of Aries, you have this authority in your voice. You might be in positions where people want you to be the leader or some type of authority figure because you can speak so confidently. And sometimes it can be a little brash, but just like if a boss or a supervisor, sometimes they need to be brash. And it's all based on this experience of this emotion and intuition that you have that you need. So any relationship that you have or any project or situation where you're being called to tell everyone what you're feeling, it needs to be based on something that you are passionate about, that you fully believe. Because anytime Aries has their fire, so to speak, put out, they're suffering and they're not living to their fullest potential. So highest expression of an Aries Mercury needs to be somebody who is given challenges of leadership, especially with your Aquarius rising. You need to challenge authority. You need to be the authority. And it needs to be something that you really do care about. You're not really made to be like a sidekick or a supporting character. You really have like main character energy where confidence is the key here. And sometimes even faking it till you make it can work for you, because sometimes you don't realize how powerful you are until you're actually like in the war. Sometimes you can talk yourself with your mental Aquarius energy of maybe not, or this isn't right, or what can I do different? But when push comes to shove and you're really taking action, your Aries lights up. That's what it wants. It wants to think later. It wants to act now, especially with a Mercury and the Sun Aries. You really need to be in positions where confrontation is not a problem, and you could really be a great debater, um, because you're enthusiastic, and when you have something you're defending, you really are going to shine the most. So if you're not afraid of conflict, then get in those positions where you are standing up for a cause or for yourself or something that you can get really fired up about. If you are afraid of conflict, then kind of push yourself to slowly get into these kind of roles where maybe it's not so black and white, but there is something that you can feel that you're helping a cause, or you're putting your foot down about something. That's where you're going to find that where when you speak, it's just powerful and you didn't even know it, but there you are, being the leader of a cause, and that's going to make you feel really self-worthy. Again, second house, and it's probably going to bring you opportunities to feel more secure in your own environment, like resources. So maybe you could be like a motivational speaker or some type of coach, or something that really helps people get fired up. These are the qualities that the fire air combined can do. It can really light the match of inspiring people. Aquarius and Aries, this energy gets along so well together that before you know it, you just have a whole team of people behind you. Like, yes, like whatever you say, I agree. You be very persuasive and influential to other people. So let's move on to Venus is actually not in your second house. Well, we got somewhere that's not a second house. Okay, so Venus is in your first house in Aquarius. So again, we have this happy energy here. Aquarius energy is strong. Aries energy is strong. This is somebody who is really here to do things. These are yang energies. So we have yin energies that are more of our feminine side. They are receiving. They're more passive, and they're more internalized energies. So we have more introvert kind of tendencies. Well, you have very yang energy. So yang is forward motion. It's doing stuff. It's physically active. It's in the world. It's doing and moving and growing and pushing out and expressive. Especially the first house is a yang energy in itself. So it's naturally the home of Aries. So anything in your first house should be accessible to you because of all the Aries energy you already have. So this is just about like new beginnings in this life. If you're an evolutionary astrologer like myself, you believe that we've come here before and we're here again. And in this life, you have this energy of new beginnings. The Aries is the first sign. It wants to treat everything as a new experience. It doesn't want to hold on to grudges of the past. It wants to just have a clean slate. So this is new energy. And in the first house with your Venus, you have this new energy that you want to love who you are. You want to love yourself. You want to love your physical body. You want to love and give yourself self-care of how you treat your body, how you treat your style. Whatever your signature is, it's important that you spend time on the self. And with the packed second house and seeing this first house energy, when I first looked at your chart, I said, wow, this is somebody who really needs to spend a good amount of her time learning who she is not, and why that is so worthy of loving herself and being able to be loved by others. So it could indicate, past life traumas or overly self sacrificing. But in this life, you need to spend time loving and getting to know who you are in a human body way of expression. So, taking care of your body, physical activity, finding whatever is going to work for you, for your style and expression, and not being confused with that being selfishness. Like, that's not selfishness. That is that's the standard. You need to give yourself a lot of attention. So, a highest expression of an Aquarius Venus is somebody who finds different ways than what is considered like trendy, mainstream type uh, of just accepted styles. So you might find that you kind of rebel against what is normally seen as fashion or how a woman should be or dress or act. Like, forget that. You can have many different ideas and you might want to try different things, or you might want to be a little eccentric. And you don't have to be, it's just that you might just find that when you're really feeling yourself, that you just don't want to have to explain or defend why you chose to do something in your own body. You want the freedoms to be and act as you please. You don't want to have to check in with somebody about that. You need time to just be independently yourself and not feel like there's any type of emotional manipulations on who you are or how you act. It's that air energy of being like this unbiased approach to your own style and your own expressions of love. So there can be no, well, I shouldn't do this or that's not acceptable. Aquarius doesn't care about that. The high expression of an Aquarius Venus is you're going to love whoever you want to love, and you're going to love yourself however you want to love yourself. And you are the only authority on that. So sometimes Aquarius Venus, they are considered like aloof in love or cool in love. They're not overly gushy. Sometimes they're known for being like into flings and things like that. That's not really always the case. The Aquarius is ruled by Uranus, which is the planet of spontaneity and independence, and they do need that. But there's also a co-ruler, Saturn, which is the planet of taking things serious and respecting traditions and things. So Aquarius is ruled by both. So it really does understand what it is to be like in a long-term relationship and to be that partner. But it needs its freedom and it needs its ability to express itself however it sees fit. So when you find somebody who can integrate those things, then you can be a lifelong partner to somebody, absolutely. But when your Venus is in the first house, you need to come first with that. You need to be you need to make sure your self-love is taken care of first, and you need to make sure that your boundaries are clear, that other people are not overstepping that, right? So your love of yourself is what's actually going to bring love to you also. So the more you take care of yourself, the more you embody this Aquarian energy of authenticity, the more other people who would be good for you see that, and they're like, wow, like she's inspiring me to like do whatever I need to do also. I really like her style. I like the way her hair is rainbow, and I don't see that all the time. I feel like I can actually be myself, my true self around her too. And that's the gift of the Aquarius energy, is the Aquarius highest self is so authentic in their own right. They march to the beat of their own drum, that other people feel like they can do the same. And like the judgment of the world is gone. And we actually can be who we want. And aren't we more gifted And isn't the world such a better place when we all can actually bring the gifts that we have and we're not all exactly the same carbon copy of each other? That's what Aquarius wants. That's the energy that you bring to other people. So when you can actually live that way, you're inspiring others with their rising, but in the sign of Venus, you're actually finding love for yourself and opportunities for love with another person. So it's a lot of responsibilities here, but it looks like, I believe we sign up for these things on our own we want to experience this. So you are ready to break free of this group mentality, and you're ready to show others it's okay to be yourself. So let's move on to Mars. Back to the second house we go. Mars is our doing what we are willing to fight for, where we're willing to go to war with others to defend these things, how ambitious we are in life, what type of stamina we have, what type of sex drive we have, what type of people really attract us and make us feel alive. So in the sign of Aries, Mars is so happy in Aries, that's where it belongs. So you have a very direct energy field, so you can have an idea and you can do it. You're not going to have any type of energy issue when you're inspired by something. Mars and Aries is ready to go now. Just drop an idea on you that sounds good and let's go. You have a very forward motion. So if you're not already like physically active, you should definitely get that going. You need to be moving, you need to be sweating, you need to be fighting, either like a physical exercise fighting, or you might find that you have a higher sex drive than other people. Your body needs to be moving and it needs to feel alive. It wants the heart rate going. It wants to do things that spike the adrenaline, and it wants to feel like it has left no stone unturned. It is a very explosive energy. So when it's being dormant too long, it can act out in anger. It can be like a volcano that just erupts without any control if it's not being tended to. So these Aries energies inside of you, it is a what we call an Aries stellium. So it's a major theme of your life to be moving and doing and bold and courageous and feeling full of life. Anytime that you're not living to that true side of you, you're going to have like aggressive outbursts, or it's going to be showing up in outer areas projected back onto yourself. I say that because you have Saturn in the stellium. So Saturn is an outer planet. So if we are not doing things that fully express, actualize this energy into awareness, sometimes it can be projected in synchronicity, is where outer things reflect inner things. So outer Saturn can be authority. So if we're not really living up to being our own authority in this Aries way, where we tell people exactly how we feel and we let them worry about their own reactions, if we try to hold that back or be more appeasing or roll over too much, then Saturn, our authority, is going to project this onto our outer lives as like a parent who's really authoritative or authoritarian, excuse me, and almost, oppressive. We're going to find these really oppressive people in our lives, and they're going to teach us that if you don't take your own power, then other people are going to show you what that power is like, and it's not going to be subtle. So our challenge here is to build our self-esteem up, find the courage to say and do what we need that our heart is telling us is right, and then make the Saturn happy, and the restrictions of your own authority goes away. And then Saturn is this lesson that has been checked off. If you find that you're around people that are combative towards you or really like a tyrant in your life, check with yourself. Am I really taking my own power here? Am I obviously the leader of my own life? Am I trailblazing through this life without any fear? Am I letting fear run me, or am I fearlessly going after what I want to do? Because if the answer is that fear is choosing decisions for you, then you're going to run into these Saturn type people in your life. And what I mean by this Saturn type people is the Saturn in Aries energy would be the people who are restricting your freedoms, and they're doing it aggressively. So we don't want that. We want you to be in control, and we want you to feel that you don't have to have all the answers, but you're going to take action for yourself over and over again. And that's when this outer planet is going to be satisfied with how you're choosing to do things. So it doesn't have to teach you that lesson over and over again. So that jumped to the outer planet there. But if we go back to Mars, you might be really excited and passionate about people who are passionate about things. So a high expression of Mars would be that you're so active in pursuing your ambitions because you have this never ending energy field around you when you're really passionate about something. So when you're able to live like that, um, this high vibration that you give off to people, you find people who are also just like pumped to be alive and to pursue all of their dreams. And that really excites you. That can be something that in trying to find a romantic partner, that really is like something on your radar that just really draws you and attracts you to somebody when they're just living. It's almost like this childlike energy, like when they're just purely excited and energized about something, and they're not jaded or hung up on self-pity from what's happened in their life, but they're just purely alive today and seeing what today is going to bring them. Like that's a big turn on for you, and that's the kind of people that you're attracted to right off the bat, when they exude like this clear energy of the joy of life. Like that's what is really a turn on for you. And that in return is actually what people find attractive about you when you're in the zone too. So these are things that when you express them, they return to you. And that's the high vibration of where you want to be. So when you couple that with that Aquarius Venus, you might find that it's something that maybe that's not usual. Maybe it's an unusual way that you express yourself. And it's the energy and the passion that you do it with, that when those things combine, you're at your level to really receive love and give love too. So it can be a very in your face kind of energy. So if you find that you're attracted to somebody, it would be in your best interest to tell them, be confident, be bold, be playful, have fun, and don't leave any stone unturned. Be fearless in your ability to communicate what you want and need with people, because that is what your energy is this time. It wants to be out there in people's faces and let them know, even at the risk of feeling silly later, or maybe I said too much. That's okay. You need practice, and this is what you need to do. And if the people that you're around can't handle that, then that's okay. That's not who's right for you. You need to find people that can handle that and then give you that back. You want this like real life passion. So there's no time for people who are too sensitive or don't get it or don't want any kind of new thinking or ways of doing things. You need to be around people that are also bold, taking chances, and just do what they feel is right. So those are your inner planets. So when we summed all that up, that is the essence of your desires and your motivations here. So we talked about Saturn. Let's look at Jupiter now, because Jupiter is our planet of where we are just naturally gifted, where if you want to roll the dice somewhere, you can go ahead and take chances in this department because you're going to land on your feet. and luck just kind of follows you in these areas. So in the sign of Pisces in the first house, Jupiter loves being in Pisces. That's the co-ruler of Pisces. Pisces is ruled by Neptune and Jupiter. And when Jupiter's in Pisces, it gives a more of a compassionate energy, and it expands anything it is. So when Jupiter's in your first house, people think that you have like this larger than life presence. People being in relationships with you is a gift. You might bring luck to people. People might tell you, oh, I feel good when I'm around you. You make me feel more joyful. You bring a spirit of joy and optimism to people. And you can bring that in yourself as well. You can try out new looks and it looks good on you. Or you can feel like maybe you have a really healthy body. Maybe you have this glow about you. When Jupiter's in the first house, you are the luck that you bring to the world. You are blessed with this Piscean energy of being very compassionate. You have a Aquarian first house too. So when it's there, I see this Pisces Aquarius blend of just like a very like humanitarian energy. And there's no hierarchy of who deserves what love or who should be taken care of. You believe that all living matter, everything is valuable, and you want everyone to feel loved, and you embody that. So maybe you have a lot of many different types of friends who people are like, oh, like, why are you friends with them? And you have this energy about you that you don't see ranks, you see souls, you see people for who they are, not just what they look like. You're very not concerned about things of status when it comes to giving love to other people. And that might just make people feel really good to be around you. Um, and this way, Jupiter wants you to also take that into yourself, right? So you have many things to offer people. You are worthy of these great relationships and love, no matter what you look like or where you come from. It's all the same energy here, back and forth. You give that to others, and then you can give that to yourself as well. You might find that you get in situations of luck for being yourself. I know a Jupiter first house person who has been lucky several times on being picked for things. So just being somewhere and putting your name in something and then being called, because you can tend to carry this luck with you. So this person I'm thinking of was on the game show Price is Right and got picked and came up. And I was surprised to hear that, because what are the odds? But then again, on a tryout for this Wheel of Fortune show, they got picked again. And there's so many people. What are the odds? But things like that happen because you can carry this luck about you, and things happen good when you're there. So if I have Jupiter in the first house, I'm not going to be so worried about, if I think I can't get away with wearing this, or if, oh, no one's going to notice me here. Yeah, they will. You have an energy about you that it'll be in your favor a lot of times. I can't do this. I don't think I can do this. Well, yes, you can. It's kind of a global pass of favor towards you. So it should bring you this more optimistic view that things will go well, because you kind of just carry that about you. Like, you don't need to worry. It's all going to work out. That's a very good strength for your chart here. Talked about Saturn. I'd like to just touch on Uranus, because you have a Uranus conjunction to your ascendant. So you have a 4-degree conjunction. And what's really happy about this is it's your Aquarius ascendant and your Uranus Aquarius ruler on your ascendant here. And that's just a real happy place for Uranus to be. If you have a conjunction here, it could be that I had mentioned earlier about how you might suddenly come into people's lives and suddenly leave. It's this kind of this stamp of, it's not really about the length of time that you have in these relationships. It's, the quality of the time that you've spent there. So I see this meaning usually like you might have a lot to your story. You might have many experiences. You might feel like you've lived a long life already of like sudden things happening. There's this spontaneity that comes with Uranus, like the bolt of lightning, that you don't know where it's going to land or when it's going to happen, but it's going to be very powerful and change a lot when it does happen. So it's the sudden coming and going of things. It's an energy of insight. You know how we say like the lightning bolt strikes, you have an idea. It's someone that you just be very inspired suddenly. You don't know where it comes from, but all of a sudden you have these strong feelings and you must do it. Or suddenly someone shows up in your life that has no reason to be there, but it changes everything. Or you're that person in someone else's life. Or you get random call that you got into the school you never thought you would, and you go there and it changes everything. Or what you assumed to be a catastrophe happened and you had no idea, it came out of nowhere, but now look how it led you down this different path. It's like a lot of sudden new beginnings or new insights. We're turning everything upside down in your life many times over, not in the Pluto transformative way of rebirth necessarily, but that it just is a shift in your path. And sometimes it feels out of your control. And sometimes it feels chaotic. And sometimes it feels like it doesn't make a lot of sense. But in this energy on your ascendant, it is part of your journey to become adaptable. And an Aquarius fixed sign sometimes doesn't love change, and all that second house energy doesn't love change, but it's kind of surrendering to this idea that things happen and I can still keep an open mind and I can still, go where the wind takes me energy. And that's not going to be at my detriment. It's going to keep life interesting for me. You have a lot of energy between all that Aries energy, Aquarius energy, and now this Uranus conjunction that you really want to experience a lot of things and you want to feel alive and you want to feel the joy and all of these emotions that come with living and experiences. So it's something that just is going to help open the door to that. You might have a lot of interesting things happen, and you might be called to a lot of different places where you help bring change to situations. So it might be that your your own evolution of who you are takes many different turns. Maybe you have many different styles. Maybe you're interested in many different things compared to when you were younger, to 5 years ago, to 1 year ago. Maybe your life of your image and where you want to physically be or how you physically want to be changes many times. And you're learning that you are the authority on that. So there is no right or wrong. And that is part of your evolution of accepting radical change and being that radical change. And it's very empowering. And the more you stay positive about that, especially with the Jupiter in the first house, also, the more you experience all the heights of that type of energy, and the more inspired you become, and inspiring you are to others. So let's look to another outer planet is Neptune. It's also on your ascendant. So when somebody with an ascendant has a lot of outer planet energy, it for me means that there's going to be a lot of outer influences on your life, on how you might just have a lot of experiences that are going to help you change your perception of life. So, in more simple words, it's over time, the lens of how you perceive life changes a lot because you want to not be in the box of how you think. You wanted to know, well, when something else happens, now how do I feel about it? When I was little, I saw through this lens and this is what I thought was reality. Now life has given me this experience and I see it this way. I see a different level. My whole experience has grown and I see in my periphery there's things out there too. I don't have this tunnel vision anymore. I'm growing into somebody who knows that the existence is so vast and there are many dimensions here, that what I once thought was true, I'm learning this can also be true. And it gives you this wisdom over time. You come through this life with so much more wisdom than you started with. So now you have Neptune on your ascendant also. So it's the spiritual energy that you really can get in touch with this deeper spiritual part of this human existence, where your second house is full of the material world, of actually what is in existence in this life, what we physically see, touch, build, live in, have. But when you have Neptune on your ascendant, you're also going to be experiencing a lot of spiritual energy. And it's going to feel like you can see through deeper, realms here of spirituality is not what we're just seeing and doing and where we pray, but it is this like interconnected fabric that we're all part of. And when it's on your ascendant like that, you're asking to have these spiritual experiences in your life. It's going to become part of who you are. And you're going to meet people or have experiences that help bring you into this spiritual growth. And Neptune can be confusing. It can be disillusionment too. You might learn through things because you have higher ideals of people or situations that are not actually true. And you have to feel that. It's a feeling sign. You have to learn that even though you feel a certain way about something, that's not reality. That's not how everybody feels. But then you become wiser because of it. And it's a 12th house sign for you. So it takes a little extra energy to get there, but it is an important part of you because it's on your ascendant over time. The more time you spend in this private area of yourself, meditating, being in situations where you're of service to other causes, in that Aquarian energy, you're going to experience this awareness of your spirituality that maybe you're not always able to access, but it's an outer planet, so it's going to give you opportunities again and again to ask yourself what your spiritual beliefs are and how are you actually embodying this in yourself and getting that new lens to view in a more spiritual way. Okay, so let's talk about Pluto. That is our last planet of the outer planet. It's about transformation, control, what is, our rebirth when we let go of fears and controlling tendencies. In the 10th house of career, public ambitions, highest reputation, sometimes it can mean that you have this magnetism about you that you can access to go to higher levels of whatever you're trying to achieve. As an outer planet, though, it can also mean that there are energies that are going to challenge you to achieving your highest reputation. So you might have to go through a, quote unquote, death and rebirth of things to achieve this. Sometimes it can be authority with your second house so packed in Aries. I see like these challenges here with that. But where you're gifted is you have a trine with Pluto and your Aquarius. So your Pluto's in Sagittarius, and your Aries second house is trining Pluto. So that means it's more of a blessing here. You're being asked to rein in your control and your power and your authority of yourself, and then watch yourself become that to the public too. So the second house is more of a private house. 10th house is more of a public house. The whole bottom part of our chart is our own personal growth. So you have a lot of personal growth you're doing between your first and your second house. But when the time is right, when you have mastered this self-growth, then look at your 10th house, this public reputation, this authority, this career growth. You know, most people say career, it could just be any vocation or cause that you are wanting to achieve in life. Then you can be that authority on it, and there's a lot of power in that. So it's like this, you have a lot of boss energy here. And it doesn't necessarily mean career, but it's just that you are the authority of what you want and who you want to be and how you want to be known. So it's asking you to own that and make no apologies for it and be really in touch with that. But it takes time to get there because your first and second house are asking you before you rush out into the public. Know who you are first, know yourself first, work on that, whatever that looks like to you in your first house, physical body and style, and whatever values and self-esteem that means in your second house of personal values and how you feel about yourself. And then you get to go to this house of the public and be someone in the Sagittarius energy who is wise and able then to share their message to others who are eagerly awaiting to hear what your message is. Let's see here. Your Pluto is the tightest aspect here, though, in your chart too. So you have a 0-degree sextile between Pluto and your ascendant. So where we see again, when the outer planets touch your ascendant, then it does become more personal, right? It's that lens again, is trying to help your perceptions of things. And it is not just the outer into the inner anymore. It's becoming part of who you are. So your ascendant is touching all these outer planets because you really want to harness like all this energy into your identity. Like you want to really become all these energies in this life and really embrace so much within your range of experience. So now Pluto is sextile your ascendant, and to me that is somebody who has this like magnetic energy about them, and you can be very influential to others. And when you really lean into the way your first impressions are so powerful, or how they could be, and you can really have this presence about you that really takes hold of people, and it can be very persuadable and in your favor here. So if you need to practice looking in the mirror and giving a speech, or how you introduce yourself, or practice your handshake with others, because it's in the 10th house too. So it makes me think like of career, or how you publicly represent yourself. It can be very powerful. And the more you know that, the more you can harness it, and know that even at your very first impression with people, you're setting the tone of your influence. And you have so many planets touching your first house that you really, from the gate here, from the start, which is a very Aries theme, you're very, the clock has started, and you're already putting the footwork in for your whole experience with this person. So I see you having many experiences, many interactions with people, and maybe not super long ones, but many of influential ones. So just know that from the very first moment someone meets you, they're very empowered by you, or just they're not going to forget you. Like you're leaving lasting marks on people. So when you know that, and you know that power you have, you know that responsibility you have, just know everything you say and do, every person you meet or experience you have is leaving an impact and a ripple on people. So, that responsibility then is, am I authentically doing this? Am I saying and speaking and doing exactly what I mean? Am I aware of the impact I'm having on people? Because I need to know that they're going to be staying with this for a while. So I need to know that this is truly how I want to represent myself. Okay, so lastly, let's look at just your nodes here. I think when you have all this first and second house energy and you're building on who you are, it's interesting that that's actually your south node, because your south node is what we're releasing. So you've given yourself a lot of work this life. You want to do all this work to build up who you are. And then you want to release it in a state of Piscean love and go to this north node in the seventh house of then finding this partnership with somebody, because now you've become this energy of knowing who you are and feeling that deep Piscean love for yourself. Now you're ready to enter this relationship with someone else, this partnership of an equal who respects you, who is challenged by you, who is loved by you. And in return, then you can have this partnership with somebody in this Virgo energy of another earth sign, of actually having this physical life together, of this. The Virgo represents our like ideals of our full potential. Virgo has this image of, I met you, I know you, I love you, I can see where you have this potential to be your best version of yourself, and I'm going to help you get to it. They get joked for being nagging because they tell you what you should or should not do, but it's because they know what you could be and they want to see you get there. And when you have a north node in Virgo, you're providing a service to somebody of helping them achieve that. So it's like a focused energy here of being very detail oriented and helping a person become their greatest self. But how can we do that if we're not already our greatest self, right? I can't help anybody if I haven't helped myself first. I have to put the mask over my face first before I can put it on somebody else's, right? So your theme here is, I need to really know who I am, what I stand for, what I do not, be excited and passionate about whatever is authentic to me. I'm going to meet my partner in that state, and I'm going to help them find out who they really are too. And I'm going to help them in a very hands-on way of sculpting them into their highest potential. And I'm going to really be selfless in that. And I'm going to not only have a one soul experience, I'm going to have a two soul experience, because I am working on helping myself and this person that I'm destined to meet and share this journey with. So we'll stop there. That's a lot. Let me know what you think. I am happy to answer any questions. This is a very interesting read, so thank you so much for your interest. Okay, talk soon.